What's going on, y'all? Mailbag time. Video mailbag. First one here on the Fast Lane 9.5 WUSC. James Martin, Garnet Army, Cap Admiral. What are you?
I don't know, something.
Lieutenant.
I'm pretty up there.
We'll get you a sailor cap.
Just.
We've also got Lennay Kekua, Manti Te'o's girlfriend, here with us. Manti, if you're watching, it's cool. We met on MySpace like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 5 or 2, depends on who you ask.
We're just friends. We're just friends.
So good night. What an idiot. Anyway, your questions. lanewusc@gmail.com. That's where you can send them to us. Also on Twitter @FastLaneSports. Here's what you sent in. The first one from Lisa in Woodruff. Any guess as to what changes, if any, Chad Holbrook will bring to South Carolina? Talking about new Gamecock baseball coach. I don't think he brings any changes because he's basically Ray Tanner light.
Right. I mean, I guess it's kind of like, related to football. It's kind of like when you hire the offensive coordinator, the defense coordinator promoted. They kind of keep the same schema. They kind of run the same game plan. And Holbrook's from the school of Tanner, so to speak, considering he was the lead assistant. So it's pretty much, just a lateral move. He's just taking on more responsibility and becoming the head coach instead of the assistant, I think.
Yeah.
So we may see some major lineup changes. We got some big players like Rolf, guys like that won't be here this season. And we got to find someone to step up, take leadership. And we might see, an Amari Christian come out on the scene this year. He was the last guy cut on the team. Last year, obviously a cornerback in the football team. We may see him, guys like him, Sean Carson. And, new guys going on campus this year we're really looking forward to.
Yeah, I really don't think he brings any changes. I mean, like you said, he worked with Tanner for a number of years when he was at Carolina. I mean, I really think it's basically going to be the same thing. The team's going to be, the lineup's still pretty stacked either way. It doesn't matter who you put out there. This one comes to us from Leanne in Columbia. If you could trade place with one sports star for a day, who would you trade with, and you can't pick the day? That's a great question.
That is.
That's,
wow.
Who you got? I think I know who I would go with. Who would you go with?
I feel like I would have a different person for every sport, but if I honestly could pick one person, wow. I'd have to go with probably Tom Brady. As much as I hate to say that, because I really detest the New England Patriots, but Tom Brady I don't know. He just has that. He has that saucy arrogance about him. Just like I know I'm probably the best quarterback in the NFL, but see, he's also a nice guy. Gives back to the community. Good actor. Got a beautiful wife. Had a beautiful wife. I mean, I cannot envy a guy like that.
To get to what James is trying to say is he has a pretty wife and he plays football. So
absolutely.
I would.
He's living the American dream.
Yeah. I would go with. Honestly, I would go with Rory McIlroy right now.
That's a good one.
Because here's my thing though. If you pick like a football player, if you can't pick the day, like if you can't pick, you playing in a playoff game, or you can't pick a bye week. Right. I mean, you might end up in like one of those weightlifting heavy leg days.
And I mean, that commercial's pretty cool, isn't it, man? How they got the one with him and Tiger on there, and Tiger doing his same, hitting the ball like that thing, and Rory's just like, hey, what's up, old man? He's like, I'm busting the scene. I'm like his new poster boy for golf. So I can see that one. And I mean,
even on your worst day as Rory McIlroy, like what would you do? You'd go to the gym for an hour and you go play golf all day.
Yeah,
that's like the worst possible day you could have as Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
So
tough life, huh?
I'd definitely go with him. Tom Brady, you could end up playing against like the Ravens or somebody like that.
Yeah, you get to see Ray Lewis, man. I mean, that could go bad. Terrell Suggs,
You get to see Giselle, but afterward you'd be so banged up, it probably wouldn't even.
You'll be seeing Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and those guys the whole time. And then God, good Lord, that's a big man. That's one heck of a man right there.
I wouldn't want to deal with that.
I don't want him coming up the middle on me. I'm running. You're just gonna see this little slow boy run out of bounds.
I'd be my slacks playing golf with Caroline Wozniak. This one comes to us from that's a great question, man. This one's from Erica. In light of the glorification of Alabama's quarterback's girlfriend and the impersonation of Te'o's girlfriend, what do you see as the impact of social media on college sports? It's from Erica in Eastover. That's tricky because a lot of these coaches start banning guys from using Twitter and stuff like that. And
Spurrier being one of them.
Spurrier doesn't let guys do Twitter. There's some other coaches that don't let them do that. I think it kind of depends on who the athlete is, as determining whether you're going to let social media mess with you or not in college.
Right.
I mean, if you're on there, trying to spit your game at these made-up people, then, I mean, you're going to get in a situation like Manti Te'o. But as far as like the Alabama, as far as AJ McCarron's girlfriend goes, I mean, I guess it's good for her. I mean, she got like 500,000 followers out of the deal.
Yeah. It was kind of creepy, though, don't you think, the way Brent Musburger talked about it?
I mean, what's he gonna say?
I know. He honed in on her a little too much, though.
He wasn't running the production truck, though.
Hey, but she's a beautiful girl, though. So I mean, I set the fuss.
That's my thing.
But not to get off track, here to answer the question. I mean, like you said, it's great for her to get her name out there, and I mean, she's probably a hard worker. I don't know her personally. I know plenty of people in the journalism field, and they bust their tails every day, and they do their research, and they do their homework. I got a roommate. Guess you know Jamal. I mean, and the work that he puts in with Gamecock Productions. I mean, it's fierce. Shout out to Jamal. And it's a fierce industry, and you got to be on your toes. And like I'm in the sport and entertainment industry, you got to be on your toes. You got to be willing to adapt, and you got to be willing to put in the long hours. So if she did all that to get to where she was, then God bless her. I mean, she's good for her. As far as the whole Manti Te'o situation, it's just really sad because I mean, this is a guy. We're talking about a guy that's the runner-up for the Heisman Award trophy. We're talking about probably the best linebacker in football, which might be a little more debatable at the national championship game, but still, nevertheless, he's a great player. He'll be a lottery pick. He'll be a top 10 pick. More than likely, if his off the field character doesn't get to him. But I think you see a lot of memes. You see a lot of things that make fun of the guys and the players, like the whole he wasn't missing a tackle, he was hugging his girlfriend. Stuff like that, and the jokes go on and on and on. Real football, real girlfriends. I've heard them all. So I guess social media is really starting to catch on fast for as far as spreading jokes and I mean it's just a great way to get news. I mean, I've had multiple professors, this semester and last, they've asked me, where do you guys get your news sources from? Twitter. Boom. I tell them just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. Facebook, Twitter it's a double-edged sword because if you're great at what you do in terms of college athlete, then you're going to get praised a lot quicker. If you have something like this happen to you, then you're going to get mocked a lot.
Right.
I mean, and I don't know. It just kind of depends on who you are and how you handle it. This one's from Danny, also in Columbia. In this day and age, why do baseball dugouts insist on using wall phones? Can the teams not afford to go wireless?
Very good question, Danny.
I never would have thought of that, but wouldn't that be great to see Ozzie Guillen just like texting the pitching coach?
I mean, could you see this now? I mean, like Freddie Gonzalez, let's make a call to the bullpen. Let me text the bullpen real quick. Come on. Just tell Ventures to warm up. I mean,
You'd have like pitching changes sponsored by AT&T and Verizon. Yeah. I don't know, but really, if you think about it, I can't think of any other place I've ever seen use a wall phone now, except when I'm watching a Major League Baseball game.
Yeah.
Or a college baseball game for that matter. I don't know why they don't do that. Probably because they can't afford it. Everybody except the Yankees.
Right.
And the Yankees don't even do it though, so I don't know what the deal is, Danny.
And I mean, the Yankees, they have just exorbitant amounts of money to spend. I really, honest to God, them and the Red Sox, I can't see how they don't have one by now. That blows my mind.
They'll get on it. Futuristic, Danny.
We're Cashman. We're trying to give you an idea here.
There you
Listen
go.
to our show.
Hey, more advertising money, the better.
If you want somebody in front office, I'm about to graduate in August. Just throwing that out there.
This is from Harold in Trenton. What are the 5 worst coaching gigs in sports?
Ooh, I can't wait for this one. I got a few in mind. I'm sure you do too.
The 5 worst ones? Gosh, no, there's so many. There's so many I'd go with. What would be? Just go ahead and name a few of yours. I got to think.
My number 1 is definitely going to be the Cleveland Browns, without question.
Yeah.
There's only been 2 coaches that I can honestly think of that have survived the Cleveland Browns. One being, of course, Bill Belichick. Another one, let's see, Butch Davis made a pretty good. I mean, he made a good career there, but I mean, yeah, that pretty much anyone else you can think of, Pat Shermer. I mean, anyone like that. The list goes on and on and on. So I'd start with them. If I had to go with an NBA job, I'd say the Bobcats probably.
Oh.
I mean, because they're just so terrible, you really just can't turn them around. They just need a lot more help. And Mike Dunlap will probably be at the short end of the stick at the end of the season. He'll probably be a one and done.
Probably.
Number 3, I'd have to say Oakland Raiders, just obviously by history. The Raiders have a history of blaming it on the coach. I mean, Dennis Allen's probably on the hot seat. He just coached 1 season and went 4-12, I believe it was with a very underachieving roster, a group of guys that really aren't built to win a championship. And that falls on the ownership, and a lot of times they blame the coach. It was Tom Cable, and then it was Hugh Jackson, now it's Dennis Allen. I mean, who's going to really lead them? Let's see. I would also have to go with. Well, this is a tough one. To think about 5. That's a very good question.
I've got 3 for sure.
Yeah, that was my 3 for sure. Let's see what you
I would go with Dallas Cowboy head coach. As long as Jerry Jones is there, I wouldn't take that job.
Because Jerry Jones is very similar to Al Davis, in what I was just talking about. Because Al Davis and Jerry Jones, if you guys viewing don't know, Al Davis is of course deceased now, but Jerry Jones and Al Davis both served as the dual as the GM and as the president of the team and as the owner. So they made literally all the football decisions. So whenever it wasn't like, hey, if we hire stupid coaches and we're not making good decisions, fire the GM, because the owner was the GM in both cases. And it makes it tough on the coach knowing that, hey, they've got a history of firing coaches in 1 to 2 years. And if we come in here and go, say, 12 and 20 in 2 years, then we're probably not going to survive.
Yeah, I'd go with them. The only reason I wouldn't put the Raiders on is because Al Davis isn't there anymore. I'd go with Dallas head coach. I would go with New York Yankees manager for basically the same reason, just because the whole Steinbrenner family, I think, is just a little off kilter.
It seems like to me, Rixon, that you can win a championship in New York and they're still not happy.
Yeah.
And actually, while you're at that, not to interrupt you, not to cut you off, throw the New York Giants on my list. Because how many other teams have a head coach that have won 2 Super Bowls in seriously less than a decade? There'd be no complaints on my end.
Yeah, that's true. Tom Coughlin, he does get a raw
He gets a lot of heat, and that man has just been a great head coach. They don't realize how much of an asset he was. This is a man that coached in Jacksonville to a winning record, Rixon. We're not talking about anyone.
I forgot he was even there. I might have to put the Jacksonville Jaguars on.
I might as well, because that's just a tough situation.
I got Dallas. I have New York manager. I have Jacksonville head coach. I would go Mississippi State football coach, because they'll never win the West ever. No. They have to deal with Alabama and LSU and Texas A&M every year.
Right.
What they did this year.
And Arkansas is historically usually pretty competitive.
Yeah, Arkansas has been good until Bobby Petrino, burned them down.
And you got to think Bielema gets them on the right track soon.
Mississippi State they're a 9-3 team, and that's the best they will ever be.
Right.
They'll never be better than that. So I would put them on there, and I would put. Gosh, I'm trying to think of one of the other programs. I clearly don't deal with pressure very well, because I wouldn't want to coach in Dallas or New York. I don't know. I might have to put one of the lower rung ACC basketball teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't coach at Syracuse. And this is just me.
Okay.
The question was 5 worst coaching gigs, and Syracuse basketball is not a bad gig. I mean, they're competitive every year. But I just wouldn't want to live in Syracuse, New York, and have to travel down to Florida State and Clemson every year. Yeah. And Jim Boeheim basically said, I don't want to go down to Florida State. I don't want to go to Clemson every year, but I want to go to Pittsburgh. I want to go to Pepperdine.
Right.
So I would go with that. We didn't even really end up answering your question, Harold, but I mean, I would have to go with Dallas pro football, New York pro baseball, Syracuse college basketball, and Jacksonville pro football, and Mississippi State college football.
I would literally have to do some of the same ones. I gotta say Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys as well. I've got to say the Cleveland Browns. I've got to say the Jaguars. If I had to think of a college team, honestly, a lot of pressure. I wouldn't want to take the Texas job.
Football? Oh,
because if you think about 100%. Matt Brown's under a lot of pressure right now, despite winning that championship, and kind of deservedly so. If you think about it, because he's had probably a top 5 recruiting class.
They're 7-5, and they got to be put into state.
Right. Then, you know what I'm saying? But like Lane Kiffin's not even under enough heat. I mean, we got a guy like Lane Kiffin gets the number 2 recruiting class every year. Historically, he's a high school coach tweeted this because his kid was he got deferred to the fall or whatever, or from the fall to the spring, and he decommitted, and he tweeted about Lane Kiffin saying he's the captain of an underachieving ship.
No, it's true.
And that was the quote that stood out. And number 5.
You said Oakland.
Yeah.
So Oakland would be your fifth.
So I guess I'd have to. So I guess I'm an NFL guy when it comes to jobs I wouldn't want, but it's just so much pressure in the NFL. I think the season's just so much shorter. You can go on a losing streak in the MLB and have plenty of time to turn around 162 games. The NBA, same thing. You've got 82 regular season. You got time to turn around and you go on a losing streak. You lose 5 straight in football. I mean, you're toast. I mean, you got to you got to turn it around in little time.
Low expectations.
Right.
That's what we both like. Low expectations.
Right.
This one's from Sean in Union. How thankful are you that Johnny Manziel won the Heisman now that everything with Te'o has come to light? Yeah, aren't we all glad that the Heisman Trophy went to the fine, upstanding young man in a Scooby-Doo suit and sparklers coming out of his mouth and fanning himself with wads of cash?
And his girlfriend's real.
Well, aren't we? Yeah. This whole Te'o thing, it just blows my mind because this guy was like 50 to 100 votes away from being the Heisman Trophy winner.
I mean, absolutely. And it's crazy to think how polarizing of a figure is Marcus Lattimore on campus and DJ Swearinger and Jadeveon Clowney. Everyone knows them. I mean, I can be in the Russell House and I can hear people behind me. Oh, that's Byron Jarrett walking in. I mean, like everyone knows the football player. I mean, people even know like Mike Davis, and he's a freshman.
Yeah.
Like an athlete is like almost like, I hate to say it like this, they're almost like a god around here. I mean, we just kind of worship the football athletes, and it's just I can't wrap my mind around a guy like Te'o, possibly the best defensive player in the country. He's got to be, just like I said, a polarizing figure at Notre Dame. Everyone knows him. It's not like they're going to say, who's that?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows Manti Te'o. I don't understand it. Why he had to fake a girlfriend. He could probably have any woman in the world.
That's my thing. You're on Notre Dame. You're the most recognizable figure on Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
Why do you need to go on the internet to meet people?
Right.
You're on a college campus and you're a star football player. I wouldn't be going on the internet to try to get a date. Just walk into the cafeteria. Just hold up your phone number. There you go.
Which I'm just your everyday guy. I'm James Martin. What do I bring? He's a freaking runner up for the Heisman. That's why I don't understand it. I mean, I'm not even running around here making up fake girlfriends. I mean, what's that going to do?
That's what all the guys who sit at home in their basement are saying. See, we're not the only ones with fake made-up girlfriends that nobody's ever heard of before. Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
If you're out there playing Dungeons and Dragons in the basement, this is for you. There may still be hope for you.
Keep the faith, fellas.
Keep up with the World of Warcraft.
This is from Brett in Bamberg. Would you rather be hit by Jadeveon Clowney running at full speed or participate in one practice with Frank Martin going nuclear?
Can I just take the death penalty on this one?
There is one right answer to this question.
None of the above.
No, to me, there's a clear right and wrong answer to this.
Okay, let me hear your side.
Oh, absolutely, you go with Frank Martin. Because with Clowney, I mean, if Frank Martin lays his hands on you, you can get him fired.
Right.
Clowney, his whole point.
He's on scholarship for that.
He's on scholarship to try to decapitate you. No, I'd absolutely go with Frank Martin.
I go with Frank Martin as well. And here's the thing. Yeah, when Frank Martin gives you that.
The stare.
The Franken stare. And he can even get you with this. The whole.
Oh, him during the game.
Down on the bench. I mean, it can crush your soul. I mean, you can sit there and think, man, I'm just worthless at basketball. And he'll have you. You're the worst basketball player. You're selfish. You're not passing the ball. We got to pass the ball. And then he gets into it on the sidelines. We love that about him. But all he's doing is yelling at you. I mean, he's trying to push you to become a better person. So although that would hurt me, mentally, and spiritually a little bit, Jadeveon Clowney hits me at full speed. You can just ask Vincent Smith. It's going to hurt you all three. Yeah. It's going to hurt your spirit. It's going to make you never want to play football again. Yeah. You're going to be hurt. You're going to wake up in the morning. You're probably not even going to remember it later in your life because he probably jarred something loose back there. I mean, good Lord. Yeah. I was sitting in the upper deck at the bowl game and you could hear the echo from the thud of the hit from up in there. I mean, it was unbelievable. Yeah. If Frank Martin yells at you, you can just go talk to your fake girlfriend on Twitter and you'll feel better. I definitely go with Frank Martin on that one. This one's from Romeo in New York. Were you popular in high school? That's a little creepy. No, not really. I wasn't unpopular, but I was a student body president in high school, but it wasn't because everyone just really liked me and wanted to hang out with me. It was mostly because nobody else wanted to do it.
And I think there was one guy that ran against me freshman year, and I remember his name, but I'm definitely not going to use it. But even it was one of those times where like even people that didn't like me were aggressively campaigning for me to win because this other guy was just so out there. So I wouldn't say I was incredibly popular, but from an outsider perspective, it probably looked like I was, but no, not really would be my answer. James here was a friggin' rock star.
I was like the Johnny Football School. No, not really. I was just most people get along with me. I'm pretty hard not to get along with. There were some people that probably secretly didn't like me too well because I like to talk a lot and I talk a lot about sports. So if you don't like to talk and you don't like sports, you probably don't like me too well. And also, I kind of just do my own thing. I did my own work, but I can get a little rowdy at times, and pretty much I like to make people laugh. You can't tell by watching the broadcast because we know you're listening. You're rolling around laughing. We know Rixon's got you laughing too. Don't try to hide it.
Lennay likes you. That's what's most important.
Lennay does. She does. She's been hitting on the entire broadcast.
Lennay's vibing on you for sure.
But yeah.
I would. Okay. Yeah.
I guess we can just move on to the next question.
No, and no sounds like our answers. Which is why we're spending our Friday doing this. This one's from Curtis in Duncan.
Maybe we really are probably we're spending.
Yeah.
Friday recording this.
This is definitely helping. Curtis from Duncan asks, if you could play in one basketball venue, which one would you pick?
Well, Curtis, I would like that question to be a little bit more specific because...
Ask better questions, Curtis. That's what James is basically saying. This is why he was so popular in high school. I would...
Because I have a favorite NBA and a favorite college venue. That's why I say that. Not to belittle your question, but go ahead.
I wouldn't go NBA or college. I like playing Rucker Park in New York City. Because when I was like 13 or 14, when the street ball, the N1 stuff, when that was really big, like the street ball guys, Hot Sauce and Professor and all them, like when I was 12, I thought for like 2 months that I was going to be a street baller. Like that was going to be my career. And then I remembered that one, can't play basketball. 2, I'm too pale. And 3, I'm not fast or athletic. Okay. But other than that, I thought it was a great idea. But I want to go play in Rucker Park and just play with those guys, with like people on the chain link fence. I think that'd be awesome.
That's a pretty out there answer. Pretty good answer. I like it.
You know what I'd be? I'd be a screen setter. I'd be one of those. Just set them up and throw the elbow out. I'd set a lot of hard, aggressive screens.
Absolutely. If I could play in one, if it were college, it's a no-brainer. Cameron Indoor. Absolutely, best venue.
Right answer.
If I had to pick an NBA arena, that makes it a little tougher. I would probably just say because of the history of MSG, Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, I don't think you can pick any other NBA arena because all the rest of them are basically the same.
Right.
It's all airline, mobile, central headquarters.
And the Barclays Center is nice. That's a gorgeous venue, and the Nets, they did a great job. Just an absolutely stunning venue. But it's just the history and the basketball behind the MSG that I guess makes it such a prestigious venue.
MSG and Rucker tear the Big Apple up.
Absolutely.
Last question from Hope in Blythewood. If you're going to do a serious American Idol audition, which song would you pick? Okay, so I guess you mean by serious, like you're not one of those where you're so bad and producers are like, you come on back.
Yeah.
And then you just get shredded. If you were going to do, I'd probably go Zach Brown. Zach Brown Band?
Okay, I was going to say I'd probably stick around the country genre because being out from Marion, South Carolina, I have a pretty strong country accent. So I don't think I could exactly pull off going up on stage and trying to be like a hard rock singer or anything. I just probably wouldn't cut it. So I'd probably do some Kenny Chesney or some Alan Jackson or something like that. I'd keep it country.
Yeah. I'd go with Colder Weather. I guess Zach Brown, Colder Weather.
Zach Brown, Colder Weather. I would probably sing Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson. That's a classic.
That's a good pick. I actually did that. I did at the Carowinds where they have like the American Idol experience thing that they let you do. I actually tried out for that when I was like 17 and went in. Because remember, I went in and there was a guy there was a guy sitting in like the little waiting room area they have for you,
right?
And he was singing Rascal Flatts at like this ear-piercingly high pitch, and I remember thinking that guy's awful.
Was it like What Hurts the Most or something like that?
It was Life is a Highway.
Oh my God! I could almost imagine him shrieking like "Life is a Highway."
It was terrible, but he was in there like rehearsing, and then I went back and did. I think it was Walking in Memphis. I think that's the one I did.
That's a good song.
It's a good song, and I'm not a great singer, but I went back and did it, and the lady basically told me that we don't want people with low-pitched voices. So, and then tried to get me to sing it at like Mariah Carey level, and I'm like a 17-year-old guy from upstate South Carolina. It's like, I can't do that. And so the guy that I was making fun of probably ended up winning the whole thing and getting to perform that night. So I'd go country with the husky tones in that one.
You get you some Josh Turner and be like,
yeah, and then the next year,
just to be your man.
And then the next year, Sky McCreery won American Idol the next week. I was like, well, what happened to the ban on low pitched voices?
Yeah.
I like to think I was a trendsetter because they heard that and said we have to get rid of this rule. That's probably not what happened. That's gonna do it. We're done. Appreciate it, James.
Yep.
My man.
It's nice having you, man. Y'all be sure to hit me up with a follow. It's at James Lee from 843 on Twitter.
There you go.
And be sure to follow my man Rixon if you aren't already at Fast Lane Sports.
That's it. Questions next week. Show on Monday night, 8 to 10.
It's been real.
Peace.